So based on what you know about the Diddy case right now, with all the evidence, and obviously there's no evidence from the defense, they're resting their case. What do you think will happen to the jury?
Well, since there's no state crime being involved, which is where all the criminal activity, the assaults on women, the arson, all that occurred, that's state. And this federal crime, this RICO crime, I believe that thus far all they've proven, and they've rested their case. I think they only proved the Mann Act, and that is flying interstate transportation for prostitutes. Perhaps drug use, drug possession, based on all the witnesses that have said they brought drugs from across state lines. If the deliverer of the drugs, in which I think there's an admission that the drugs were brought from cross state lines, then it becomes federal. And in that case, possession, in my opinion, not distribution.
Well, I don't think that's actually a charge. The charges are the RICO, and then sex trafficking and prostitution.
Well, there you have it. All I hear then is prostitution, interstate transfer of prostitutes.
Right. But at the end of the day, and I've interviewed one of the male escorts, Punisher, and, well, number one, he was not trafficked. He was just paid. He was already living in New York. He would go about a dozen times, meet with them, and have their free costs and so forth. I asked him, do you feel like you were trafficked? He said, absolutely not.
Well, see, there's different things. You got trafficking, and then you got interstate transfer of prostitutes.
Right.
And so trafficking, yes, he wasn't, but he was a prostitute that crossed state lines and received monies. And that's what I think he will be found guilty of. That's perhaps the only federal crime I think he should be found guilty of, but it's because it certainly doesn't amount to RICO. The things that they've attempted to prove, they did not prove enough to connect it to a RICO case, a continuing criminal enterprise.
I totally agree on that. I think the RICO is just ridiculous. I mean, obviously, Bad Boy is not a mafia organization.
Correct.
That's just, trying to present to the world that it's a real company, but really they're like extorting and, trafficking drugs. It's a real company.
That's exactly what they're trying to suggest.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I think they're going back to the kids down in Atlanta. That, by the way, they were exonerated, I believe, one or two of them.
YSL case.
Yeah, YSL case where, their company was actively, allegedly.
BMF was a drug business.
Yeah,
we all know
right.
this. It is what it is. There's a TV show about it.
Right.
It is what it is. Yeah, but Bad Boy, Ciroc, Sean John, these are actual real companies.
Absolutely.
And it just so happened that the owner of the company
is a freak.
Was a
and
freak.
A dope fiend.
And, was a dope fiend.
He likes
was having his
free.
assistants, get hotel rooms and so forth. But listen, I got a bunch of employees.
Right.
If I tell my assistant to go book a hotel room for me, and I engaged all types of weird freakiness in there, he can't be charged for it. And he can't. I can't say that he was part of this conspiracy. He just booked a hotel room.
Listen to you, little bootleg lawyer.
That's right, bootleg lawyer.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, because the charges are racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and then transportation to engage in prostitution. What exactly is the difference between the sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion and transportation to engage in prostitution? Seems like it's almost the same thing.
Not really, because sex trafficking is essentially, that's the coercion, where you're coercing a woman to go across state lines to have sex with someone. It's similar to pimping.
In this case, it's not a woman, it's men.
Okay, it's similar
right?
to...
It's the men. It's
true.
the men.
But it's similar. Trafficking is like pimping.
Right, but do you think that...
This isn't trafficking.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So sex trafficking, none of the men are going to say that they were forced to engage in this horrible act of having sex with Cassie. Oh my God, I have nightmares over this. It was so bad. Boo-hoo.
I'll take 1 year for that.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
We would have all done it for free, all right, including the escorts. It is what it is. Okay, so that one's getting thrown out the window, you think?